Hey everyone, this is Steve Lynskey as seen on TNA Impact and promotions all over the UK, Europe and the Middle East, and I will be coming very shortly to History of a Wrestler. I'll see you there.
Hello, everybody. I'm referee Ben Robbins. I'm from History of a Wrestler, and today we have referee and MC Steve Lynskey. How you doing, Steve?
Yeah, not too bad. Thank you, Ben. Thank you for having me on the show.
Oh, no, it's a
Um,
pleasure.
yeah, lockdown's been a bit of a bitch, hasn't it?
Yeah. How's lockdown been for you?
Same as everybody else.
Yeah.
Same as everybody else. No wrestling, no shows,
Right.
no outdoor interaction. Just it is what it is, isn't it? At
Yeah.
least vaccinations are going good in the UK. So let's hope. Let's hope in 6 months we're sort of like looking behind on this.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
I mean, finally get back in the ring a little bit.
that would be good, right?
Mm. I've missed it. Definitely missed it.
Yeah, it's not only shows, but I think it's interaction with people that you've worked with previously. You know, the camaraderie and going to shows and just having those chats and
Yeah.
I've been in front of an audience. Yeah.
Mm.
For me, my last show was actually the last show I did was the last show I got you on, the James Mason one at
Oh, the Midhurst show we did.
Midder show. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a good show. I really enjoyed that one.
That was good, and the week before I was in Qatar. So Middle East, Mid-East, nothing.
Nothing. Well, at least we can get you on today and we can talk a bit about wrestling, your career, and we can do something a bit more wrestling related instead of lockdown. So,
Yeah, it'd be
yeah.
nice. Talk about something rather than the new B1756 variant, or because you're not allowed to call it the Indian variant now.
No, no, it's got to be.
India's kicked off now. They want it taken off social media.
Mm,
But I think the variant was sort of like found there, so I think that's why they've sort of named it that.
yeah,
Like the Kent variant.
the Kent variant, the Portsmouth variant to be out next.
The Portsmouth. Oh god.
Cool.
Wait
So
for the
there's
variant.
the Horsham variant. That'd be a really posh version, won't it?
Yeah, it really would. Really would.
Cool. So yes, should we start off with a few questions about your early days?
Well, it's your interview. Come on.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
thought you sorted this out.
So let's go back to the very beginning. Have you always been a wrestling fan since you were a kid, or was it come later on in life? When did you first get
No,
into wrestling?
no. So pretty much Saturday afternoons at 4 o'clock, watching World of Sport on ITV. I probably could go back remembering that 7, 8 years old, may possibly before that, because my mum, rest her soul, was a massive wrestling fan. She loved it. And then I was born in a place called Scunthorpe,
Hmm.
up in Lincolnshire, and during I'm going to say possibly during sort of like autumn, winter, every month there'd be wrestling at the Baths Hall in Scunthorpe,
Yeah.
and then my mum started taking me to watch that. Always remember that. I always remember that because it was always on a Wednesday, and and the chip shop, sort of like 2-minute walk from where we lived, always had a poster in. So I'd be walking back from school or whatever, look in the chip shop window, and then you see a wrestling poster. Oh, great! So and then I'd always go in and say, "Oh, can you send me the poster? Can you send me the poster?" Which they always used to, but also as well, like in those days when they go into a shop and ask them to put a poster up,
Hmm.
they'd give them a ticket, a comp ticket for the show for putting the poster up.
Yeah.
So I always ended up getting that. So then my mum wouldn't have to pay for me to go to the wrestling. So
Brilliant.
she'd buy her ticket and I'd have a comp, or she'd use a comp ticket and I'd have, she'd pay for me to go. But yeah, so going back then was, so I'd say 8, 9.
Yeah.
And then my mum was from Bridlington in Yorkshire, which is, it's pretty much where I say that I'm from, because obviously we was always there from a young age. So although I was born in Scunthorpe, we was pretty much always in Bridlington, but we moved back there at 12, 13, and then in the summer for like 8 weeks, every week on a Monday night at the spa would be wrestling every Monday night. So I'd start going there. Ended up going there earlier to see if I could try help set up the ring, which they let me do. So I started help, and then after they'd set up the ring, everyone had disappeared to go for a cup of tea or whatever, and then that's when I'd go in the ring and start bouncing myself around and jumping and bumping and whatnot. And then over the next couple of years, now bearing in mind I'm only like 13, 14. So then progressively, a couple of wrestlers, I would ask them, I'd say, I really want to be a wrestler, but there was no schools back then to speak of, no academies, no training places, nothing like that back then. So it's basically, I would ask a few wrestlers, could you show me something? And then they'd obviously take this young lad in there and throw me around and probably try and put me off without killing me, because obviously I was still a child.
Yeah.
But I always remember the first time that I'd ever been sort of thrown around and bumped around and whatever. And then I went home that night and went to bed and woke up in the middle of the night and my whole body ached. And I really do mean like, pain, and I think the next week I went, I think I'd got up and taken some paracetamol or something, because I was in a lot of discomfort. And the next week I went back and did it, and then I spoke to one wrestler, and he said no. He said, when you go to sleep at night, and he said, try and and he was just telling me, whether he was ribbing me or not, I don't know, but he was like, you must sleep like this and blah 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 blah. But after that, after I was doing the bumping, and once you get used to it and everything, then obviously your body adjusts. So that was from 13 years old. Then a new company came, because at the time it was either Max Crabtree or Anrel Wisco that did the shows at Bridlington on a Monday night. And then maybe at 15, 16, a new company came along. They were based out of Doncaster. And they did alternate Monday nights. So either Max or Anne would do one Monday night. Obviously Max Crabtree, Big Daddy's brother. So they would do one Monday night, and then the following week, this company from Doncaster would do it. So there was wrestlers that new wrestlers that I'd not heard of. They came in. So I started talking to them, and then of course, like I'm like, oh yeah, I'm training. Yeah, I mean, oh right, okay. So then they started doing a little bit, and started traveling to like a home gym in Doncaster, which was run by a wrestler called Johnny Angel. And then he would really sort of like put me through my paces. Then I would was lucky enough to sort of do a bit of training with like Alan Kilby, Ray Robinson,
Yeah.
bits and pieces. So doing that for a couple of years, and then sort of like maybe got the basics down of bumping and selling and whatnot, and did the holiday camps. Got invited to do the holiday camps. So I would say 90 or going into 91.
Yeah.
Basically doing the holiday camps at the summer, which was a lot different to what it is now. Like, well, obviously not last year or into this year. Back then it was like 14 jobs a week.
Oh, blimey.
Two or three shows a day, traveling up to Scotland. So you'd start off in Ayr in Scotland at the Butlins up in Ayr.
Yeah.
Then go to the Isle of Bute, a few little mini camps up around the Scotland area. Then we'd do what we call, it was called the East Coast Run. So it was along near Bridlington. It was Reeton Sands, Primrose Valley, Blue Dolphin, Caton Bay, and the Butlins at Scarborough, which was like 5 minutes from each, along that run. Then
Yeah.
you go up to then we'd go up and do another show. There was always 2 shows a week at Butlins. So you'd then go back up to Ayr, and I always remember the last show, which was usually on a Wednesday night, was Aggerston Castle up near Newcastle. And that was then the big one, because you'd have 2,500 people on a Wednesday night at Aggerston Castle.
Wow, that's a lot, isn't it?
Yeah. So you was doing like 14 jobs a week on the camps, doing that, for like, and sometimes they'd extend the season as well. So like September, you'd sort of finish the main school run, etc. That holiday period over. But some of the little camps would keep running, because it was like owner camps or whatever. So you keep going back. So you maybe end up down to maybe 6 jobs a week, but for an extra 8 weeks, into November. So you'd start in April, where Easter, from April right into November. So back then it was a lot, and that's where you really learn, because you're wrestling a lot.
So do you remember when you had your very first match, or your very first spot in a ring in front of a crowd?
Yeah. So the very first professional match was at Butlins Ayr, as I say, 1990 or 91.
Yeah.
And it was against a wrestler called Bully Boy Briggs. Butlins in Ayr. And I'd got some, I was living in York at the time. And I'd found a dance place, and they were using Lycra at the time. So I had this lurid green, luminous green outfit made with like thunderbolts down and tassels, because tassels were all the rage in the 90s. Tassels were big time in the 90s. So I had that made, and I remember I came out to Janet Jackson's Rhythm Nation.
Nice. Awesome.
Got to the ring, and I thought, I'm going to vault over the top rope. Went to vault and caught my foot and arse planted in the middle. That was my first ever match. I remember that.
What was your character name and gimmick?
Oh, Steve Knight. Sexy Steve Knight.
Awesome.
Until I started working for Max Crabtree. And Max was like, "Kid, what's your name?" And I said, "Oh, it's Sexy Steve Knight." And he went, "No, it's not." He says, "You can't be Steve Knight. We've already got Knights. Because obviously Ricky Knight."
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh," which never, and it didn't kind of occur to me at the time. it was just a name that sort of like sounded like, oh, that sounds all right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and Max was like, right, you got to find another name, kid. You got to find another name. And then, so I was like, okay, Lynskey. He's like, that'll do. So that was it, Steve Lynskey.
Nice. The birth of Steve Lynskey.
Yeah, and that stuck. And then another wrestler came along, and he used Steve Knight, and he came along maybe 2 years after me. I mean, we've been friends, me and this other Steve, for 30 years. So bless him.
So in your wrestling career, did you win any championships at all? Or was it just match after match, just doing the circuits?
It's just basically doing the holiday camp shows. I did, I think I maybe held what was then called the British Cruiserweight title, but nothing, nothing. I think the most titles I've held quite a few titles, but it's usually when I'm doing that in the middle of the
Yeah. So what part of it?
A lot of titles.
So what part in your wrestling career did you suddenly think, Joe, I need to make a transition because you wanted to move into refereeing? Was that a choice of yours, or how did that come about?
So probably 8 or 9 years after that, after the initial, so say 98, maybe possibly 99. Johnny Storm was staying. I was now living in the south. Yeah, it's probably 99. Probably
Yeah.
99. So Johnny Storm was staying over at mine, and he was doing a show in Portsmouth for the FWA, which was then the Fratton Wrestling Alliance, maybe.
Yeah, I think that was it.
So I went along with him. Bearing in mind at that time I was probably about 18 stone, sort of like big enough, because this was a new generation of wrestlers coming through. So
Yeah.
John and your Jodys and your George Castanos and Scotty Rocks, all of those guys. So I went down with them, and they didn't have a referee. So they asked me if I'd referee, and I was like, okay. I'm sort of looking around, I'm thinking, oh my God, like I'm twice the size of these guys. Okay, so I went in there and I refereed the show, and it was actually quite an easy transition.
Yeah.
I actually found, because I wasn't the greatest wrestler in the world. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie about that. I wasn't the greatest wrestler in the world, so I was never gonna amount to anything wrestling wise.
Yeah.
Doing the refereeing, it was like, hey, this is all right. You know what I mean? So that's how that got started. So obviously, from then on, I started refereeing FWA. And that was it.
Did you get a lot of refereeing shows obviously booked from that moment onwards? Was it quite a quick transition where it took off quite easily for you, or was it you had to work at it more sort of to get booking?
No, I think was we going into the early stages of sort of like MySpace and things like that. So it was quite an easy transition. I'd done, I think previous to that, I'd done UWA, which was the Ultimate Wrestling Alliance, and they did the live TV stuff.
Yeah.
I was doing the American manager gimmick.
Nice.
So I was doing that. I was also doing commentary at the same time on that same program. So we'd go and we'd film the shows at Blackpool, at the Pleasure Beach, whatever. So we'd done done the string of tapings there. I think it was about 6 weeks worth.
Yeah.
So we'd done, or 6 weeks worth of shows, which was, you know, to be cut up into hour-long weekly episodes. So we'd done the tapings up in Blackpool. We'd done that. I was doing the American manager for like Drew and Doug and Johnny, Mad Dog McPhee. They'd done the big Crystal Palace show. So they'd done that. So yeah, so done that, did the Blackpool tapings, did the Barkins tapings, and then it just that came and went. You know what I mean? But at the time, you know, it was on TV on whatever. But basically, so I would do the manager thing, and then I'd be going up to Canary Wharf every week in my normal voice and doing commentary as Simon Bridlington. So where they get these names from? We need a name. Okay, so Steve Lynskey there. You've got an American accent. You're doing that. Blah blah blah. Okay, so you're doing commentary now. Okay. Think of a name. Simon. Simon what? Where you from? Bridlington. There you go, Simon Bridlington. There you go. Creative. It's fantastic. So yeah, so I did that, and then went into doing the FWA, because obviously that's where I'd met sort of Johnny Storm and Jody. And Alex Shane, George Castano, then doing into the FWA, doing into the refereeing. And
so obviously, being quite obviously a big heavy wrestler, you said you're like 18 stone. Yeah. Obviously, having one match then to referee in say 6 or 7 matches. How was like your fitness and obviously getting through each match? Was that okay, or was that a challenge as well?
No, I didn't find that. I didn't find that too much of a problem. To be honest with you, and even when I was at like my heaviest, and I'm talking 22 stone, I could still go in there and referee. You know, I probably wasn't doing myself any favors, and I probably wasn't. I was probably quite ill.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's the mentality, is like, you know, you don't get ill, you don't get injured. You know, the show must always go on.
Yeah. Because you've lost loads of weight now, haven't you? So obviously, was that purely because of the referee and the shows and that?
No, that was due to. So I probably ballooned up to about, my heaviest was 23 stone.
Blimey! Wow.
I was big fat, you know, but I was still going to the gym. I was thinking, no, this muscle, you know what I mean? I had a 56-inch waist. I look at pictures now, and it's like, oh, really? How did I not sort of see that? You know what I mean? Going to the gym, I'm all right, you know. Excuse me. So doing a show in Butlins in Bognor Regis, and I'd been getting like acid indigestion, which, you know, I just put down to, okay, I've got acid indigestion. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Aching body. It was just whatever it was. Do you know what I mean? You get on with it, you know, sort of thing. Well, I turned up at Butlins one night to do for Brian Dixon. And James Mason was running the show that night, and he went, mate, you look awful. Do you know what I mean? And that's the kind of relationship I had with James Mason. Yeah, never the best of friends, but, you know, we would get on, and, you know, dig at each other or whatever.
Straight shooters.
Yeah, pretty much. Nothing malicious, but, you know. And he was like, no, mate, you look really bad. You're really pale and sweating. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, of course I'm sweating. I'm 23 stone. You know? I'm a big fat feck. Do you know what I mean? And he went, no, you look really pale. And I've just got a bit of acid. A bit of acid. Went in there, did this show, and James had shown real concern, and he was like, he said, mate, don't work. He said, we'll cover it. And I went, no, I can't do that. I'm fine. And the next day, me and Marty Skirl were driving over to France. It was a show in France. So we did the show in Bognor, as I say, and all I'm thinking is, it's acid.
Yeah.
And then the next day, me and Marty drove over to France, did a show in France. And again, when we arrived in France that next day, like the guys were like, you don't look good. You just don't, you know what I mean? Very pasty and clammy and sweaty and etc. And there's me, acid.
Yeah.
Went home, got back home on the Monday morning or whatever it was, and just like sort of like spent the next 3 or 4 days just sat in the bedroom, just like, oh, I want this acid, chucking Rennie down my gob, do you know what I mean? Or trying to guzzle down Gaviscon.
Yeah.
Sort of aching, but just thinking, you know what I mean? It's just whatever. And managed to get a doctor's appointment on the Thursday. Went to the doctors, like hooked me up to the, all the gimmicks and this, that, and the other. And she's like, right, you're in a hospital. She says, you either had or you're having a heart attack. I'm like, what?
Shit.
I was like, oh my
Jeez.
God. You know what I mean? And I remember the ambulance turning up. They put me in the ambulance, taking me to the hospital in Chichester. And I'm thinking, what? Do you know what I mean? Like, So I tweeted on my way to hospital, think I'm having a heart attack. I think it was like, so Frankie Sloan saying, oh, well, you're obviously still okay to tweet about it. Just didn't, I was in there a week, and they said, yeah, you've either so many tests and this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
And basically at the end of it, I was told, either lose weight or die.
Yeah.
That was the crux of it. You need to lose weight or you'd be dead. So this is like a warning shot across the bows.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So, and then that journey began, and then eventually lost the weight, and kept off 8 years.
What steps did you take to lose weight? What kind of fitness did you undergo? Or was it just straight to the gym and just dieting? Like, what's your food plans like in that?
Diet. I literally, I did have to have a procedure because I started dieting. Nothing was shifting. And I was dieting. And every time we're going back, it's not shifting. So I ended up having it's quite funny because some of the boys are, oh, you've had a gastric band. Oh, you had a band. Like, no, I haven't had a gastric band. I said, and I go out and I'd eat with them. You know what I mean? We'd go to a Toby Carvery, and I say, please tell me anyone that's had a gastric band that can eat a Toby Carvery. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A plate full of it. So that would be the the big thing. I did have some gastric surgery because I couldn't lose the weight.
Yeah.
No matter what I did, I couldn't lose the weight. So ended up losing 10 stone.
Oh, awesome.
And I've kept it off for the last 8 years. It'll be 8 years July since I had
Oh,
that.
wow.
But it's not an easy fix.
No.
It really isn't. It's very much a mindset of like, do you know what? Put the fork down. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't pick up that, chocolate bar. It's don't be drinking fizzy Coke.
So obviously, you mentioned earlier about FWA because I remember. I mean, one of the first times I remember seeing you on TV was on Bravo, and you were refereeing on the FWA show for Bravo, and you got to referee Revival. That was it. And you got to referee him like Doug Williams versus Eddie Guerrero. What was that like? And what was that like backstage meeting Eddie and going forth with that?
Eddie was very quiet, very polite, really nice. It was who else was back? So there was Brian Christopher was there, Eddie was there, Dynamite Kid was there as well. So
yeah,
that was, yeah, it's quite surreal because it was obviously like that was Tommy Boyd's show. Tommy Boyd was doing obviously Talk Sport, and then wanted to do this show, which he'd done in conjunction with FWA. So that was a surreal experience. Again, Crystal Palace, which is an amazing venue.
Yeah.
So Eddie was on there. They did the King of England tournament. So, and you had, as I say, you had Eddie, you had Jody, Johnny, obviously Johnny and Jody doing their ladder match and whatnot.
Yeah.
Eddie versus Doug. Trying to think it was Brian Christopher versus oh my goodness, my memory's going to fail me now. And I can see the guy in my head, but the name's gone. And basically Brian Christopher doing his match. Me ended up taking the hip hop drop from him, at the end. I took the super kick and the hip hop drop. Did that, managed to I think also I did Brian Christopher versus Ulf Herman. I'd done, that's when I'd taken something. I know I'd bumped in it for whatever reason. And then Eddie versus Doug. It was just good show. But the atmosphere was sort of great. The only thing that I probably that I never did, and it was sort of installed me back then, that you never sort of like, I had pictures taken, you weren't a punter, basically. Do you know what I mean? You're one of the boys, you're not a punter, so you don't have your photo, you don't do photos and this, that and the other. So never managed to have a picture with Dynamite or Eddie. And then obviously both have now passed. I mean, both I've worked in the ring with, so there is footage there. Do you know what I mean? So at least there's something there in history to say, I was there.
Yeah.
But I didn't have a picture with Eddie, or I didn't have a picture with Dynamite. But it's one of the things now change, where it's like, do you know what, you do things and you want to have memories for that to pass on to your kids, grandkids, or just look back on over the years, so attitude has definitely changed now.
Yeah. So talking of venues, because Bethnal Green's a big venue as well, because you did was it the boot camp for Impact Wrestling as well there?
Yeah.
You refereed for that?
Yeah, TNA boot camp, did that. York Hall was one of those real iconic venues in London. It's Bethnal Green. Obviously it's a big venue for boxing and for wrestling. Done quite a lot of shows in that place. I know York Hall very well, very well indeed.
So was it the boot camp that's what led you on to being part of the Impact tour that they did? Because you got to be part of the Impact Wrestling tour, and you did. Was it Wembley as well? You got to referee out.
So Impact would come over to the UK, and obviously I knew a few wrestlers, or I got a few friends who worked at Impact, so I would always end up going out to the London. If they came to London, I'd always go up to the London event. And every year, and bearing in mind this was before I'd lost the weight, so I was still, fat Lynskey, and I'd always like say to Jeremy Borash, JB, JB, it'd be so great to referee there.
Yeah.
I mean, and he'd be like, maybe one day, we bring our own refs over, one day, maybe, and didn't, and it probably did occur to me, like, they're not going to have big, fat referee on my show. Although I did referee Ring of Honor when I was that size. So
yeah.
But anyway, so I lost the weight. Went to because they did fan parties. Impact TNA would come over. They do these fan parties, usually in London, build up the upcoming tour for the January. So obviously I went, lost the weight, went along to one of these fan parties. JB was there, and he's like, wow. He's like, look at you, do you know what I mean? Because I'd slimmed right down. I was about 12.5 stone.
Oh,
so
nice.
I almost looked gaunt, almost looked quite, sort of like ill when I first lost the weight. And JB was like, he says, you always asked about ref, and he says, let me see if I can get you to do one match at Wembley. I was like, oh wow, Wembley, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, great. And this was 2014. So anyway, so they're doing this fan party. It's quite busy, and I know like Nick Aldis was there, Spud was there, obviously Drake Maverick.
Yeah.
So they were there, and then JB had got up on the stage and and bear in mind, all he said, he says, we'll see if we can get you to referee a match at Wembley, do you know what I mean? You've lost weight, it's always been your dream, you wanted to do, let's see. And I was like really stoked. I was like, oh great, get to
mad
referee a match at Wembley Arena, do you know what I mean? For a big American company. So JB goes on stage and and he's like, we want to bring up Steve Lynskey, do you know what I mean? Steve's always been here. Like, look at, Steve's lost all this weight. Oh, right. And we're here to announce that Steve Lynskey will be one of the officials on the TNA Impact Tour 2014. I was like, huh? Ended up doing the whole tour from Glasgow.
Awesome.
Did Glasgow, and it finished off doing the Joker's Wild pay-per-view in Birmingham on the weekend. Yeah, that was a great weekend. It was great. So
which Impact wrestlers did you get to referee for?
Oh my goodness. So, well, I remember one match which was Abyss and Eric Young versus oh my goodness, Michael Parris. I'm trying to think of the name. He's going to go with the air horn.
DJ Easy. DJ.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
his name. Yeah.
And Robbie E.
Yeah.
Oh, so that was a tag match there, and basically like during the match, obviously Abyss is taking longer and longer to break on 5 counts, and then I start tapping him on the shoulder. He's got DJ up on there, and I'm like, hey, come on, stop that now, break it up. And he turns around and chokehold, puts me up and gives me the shock. Oh, do you know what I mean? So yeah, so there was that. When you try and remember like individual stuff, like I've forgotten so much that I've done until people mention it.
Yeah.
So I couldn't tell you without sort of like really sort of thinking about it or looking back and looking at, oh yeah, so I refereed that. But yeah, I mean, I remember that because obviously that was quite a, that was quite a big part of that
Yeah.
taping. You know what I mean? So doing that, but yeah, no, that was a good weekend. I mean, that sticks out obviously. Probably another match, and it's only because now it's going through my head because of like when memories come up on Facebook, so all the pictures start coming up. Do you know what I mean? So they'll be like, they did the mix and match where they had different tag partners sort of skew whiff around with other tag partners. Do you know what I mean? So there was like a Curry Man and Eric Young got paired up against Frankie Kazarian and somebody else, which was each other's tag partner. You know what I mean? No, yeah, it was a good week. I had good memories with Impact, which then led to when they did the boot camp, then doing the York Hall and doing those tapings as well.
Because with refereeing, you got to do the Lucha show at the Royal Albert Hall. How did you get the Royal Albert Hall to have wrestling there? And obviously, how did you get that all put on, and especially getting the guys over? Like, tell us all about that.
So previous to that, the Lucha guys had come over and done shows in the UK in like maybe a couple of years before that. I think they'd done it a while, and they'd always done it at the Roundhouse in London.
Yeah.
And then I got a phone call out of the blue. It's like, oh, we need a ring. Somebody's given us your number. I'm like, oh, okay, so who is this? And they said, oh well, we're a company in the UK that is bringing over the Lucha Libre wrestlers from Mexico. Oh, okay. So, but we need a ring. I think it was Brighton. We need a ring in Brighton on such and such a date. So, I think it was Tyson T-Bone, who who obviously works for NXT UK, and he had a ring. So I said, oh, I phoned him up and everything, and sorted that out for them. Went down to Brighton to the show, met all the guys like Blue Demon and Cassandra and everyone. Sorted the ring out for him, obviously done that, and then a couple of years later, the same woman that had contacted me originally, she got back in touch and she said, hey, the guys are coming back over to England, but they're going to do a show at the Royal Albert Hall. I was like, oh, wow, Royal Albert Hall. She said, oh yeah, so we need a 20-foot ring. We need a 20-foot ring. I'm like, I think there was one or two that I knew about was obviously was Mark Sloan in Portsmouth, who was doing the FWA. And I said, Mark, you still got access to a 20-foot ring? He said, yeah. I said, okay. I said, oh, it's going to be this. So anyway, so started doing that for him, and the boss of the company in London like went and had a meeting with him, and he said, well, what do you want? He said, well, we'll obviously pay you because you're doing this. You're helping us. And I said, what would be the possibility of like getting to referee a match on that show? I said, it's Royal Albert Hall.
Yeah.
I mean, the last British person to have been in the Royal Albert Hall wrestling related was Davey Boy, who's British Bulldog. So he was the last British guy there. And I'm just like thinking, wow, it's a referee, even just one match. Do you know what I mean? He says, I don't know. he says, let me call Blue Demon, because obviously Blue Demon was the one organising the wrestlers. And yeah, Blue Demon came out. He says, "Oh, absolutely, we'll have Steve refereeing." You know what I mean? So, you know, he said, "Well, we know he's a good referee, etc., etc." Yeah, definitely, you know. And he said it'd be a good little link as well, having someone British on the show. Because bearing in mind, wrestling was banned.
Yeah.
You know, there was no wrestling there after WWE had gone in there. So, you know, no boxing, no wrestling. And even sort of, it was like they had to sell it on, it was more a show than it was the wrestling, you know, because it was part of Mexican Culture Week. So that's how they sort of got that in there. But yeah, that was another sort of amazing few days. Started off, I went up on, they booked me a hotel where, you know, same as the wrestlers, etc. So I went up there and introduced myself to with the wrestlers. Like some of the guys knew me already. Like Ricky Marvin was on there. Ricky I'd known previously from working with Pro Wrestling Noah when they came over to the UK. So Ricky was there. So he was. So I kind of like stuck with Ricky, but
yeah,
you had Pentagon Junior and Ray Fenix, you know, before they became massive names globally. They were nice people, nice guys. Like 95% were really nice. Blue Demon Junior was an absolute gentleman.
Yeah.
Really, really nice guy. And yeah, so we'd done Friday. I'd organised 3 rings for them, a 20-foot ring for the actual show at the Royal Albert Hall. They then needed a ring because they were doing a one show taping.
Yeah.
Which again, I was on that as well. So I went along and did that. So I was at the BBC for the Friday. So we organised a ring for that. And then organised another ring for an art gallery, which was doing a lucha wrestlers like thingy, and they had Kendo Nagasaki.
Oh wow, nice.
Yeah, he was for that. Obviously, you know, mass wrestler. So he was also at the Royal Albert Hall for the show. I managed to secure a box through the like it was like, oh yeah, oh well, we can give you, because they sold 3,500 tickets to that.
That's not bad, is it?
That's not bad at all.
No.
So yeah, so he's like, did I want any tickets for any friends or family or anything? And I had Stone Cold Steve Austin's ex-wife Jeannie and her daughters. They came along, but I managed to. The woman said, the woman that had contacted me, she says, "No, you should say to him, you want a box for your friends. You want a box." You know, and that was like they were like $2,000 or £1,500, you know, to have
mad
boxes. You know what I mean? And I said, I really want, you know, this is Royal Albert Hall. You know what I mean? I'm refereeing in the Royal Albert Hall. I've got friends coming. They're quite, you know, and yeah. So he bent and he came. So I've been on the one show. I was getting paid to do this, and refereeing at the Royal Albert Hall, and secured $2,000. Friends to watch the show. So yeah, wasn't a bad weekend at all. It's pretty good.
That sounds all right.
I think the only thing was cost-wise prevented them from actually filming the event, because it would have been amazing to have footage. I asked the photographer at the time. I said, "Look, I'll pay you for the day to come down, but I just want you to literally photograph my day, because I want it. Yeah, you know what I mean? I want something there." So, and then, but through that, he ended up getting to photograph the show as well. So yeah, that was a good one. That.
So looking at obviously because you referee British wrestling and American, so refereeing luchas, what's it like? Do you have to change your style at all? Are the matches more fast
Absolutely.
paced? How does it work?
It's that because they work at 100 miles an hour. They work at 100 miles an hour. In the Mexican wrestling, they work on the right as opposed to working on the left. So it's all kind of switched around, and like, yeah, you've got to be. I mean, you have to be aware of your surroundings anyway, refereeing a match. But there, it's just like, and especially the final match was a big 8-man tag match, and you had
Oh wow.
two referees
Yeah.
in the ring. You have one. Well, sorry, you have one on the outside, one on the inside. Like I was on the inside, and the other referee was, or was it the other way? You know what? I can't remember. Again, it's one of those. All I can remember is at the end of the show, everyone was in the ring. All the wrestlers were in the ring together. Do you know what I mean? And the band that had been playing throughout the night as well. And yeah, having that photograph with everybody in the Royal Albert Hall, and also as well when the guys that arrived for the evening of the show, I said to him, I said it'd be really great if we can have that a photograph with the Royal Albert Hall be behind us, so all the guys there, do you know what I mean? Everyone in the masks and everything stood in front, and we had the Royal Albert Hall behind us. That was good. That was really good. Yeah, but yeah, they works. Oh yeah, 1,000 miles an hour. Yeah, you've really got to know. And of course, there's a language barrier as well, because some didn't speak any English. Some did speak a little bit of English, but yeah. But hey, it was a great night.
I mean, I'm not.
Great weekend.
I've always noticed a part of your career as well that you've always been really good at helping to bring obviously like British wrestling onto TV, and obviously you ran another promotion as well, 5 Star Wrestling. And how did you get a contract for that and get it on Sky and everything?
Well, I didn't run it. I just but I had a hand in it.
Yeah.
I think the one thing that I did have quite a bigger part of was when we did the World of Pro Wrestling.
Yeah.
On I can't even think of the channel now. Was that on 5 Star?
I think so. I'm not too sure with that one. It wasn't the Fight Network, was it?
No, it wasn't on the Fight Network. It was on a Sky. It was on a Sky channel. Anyway, but yeah, going 5 Star. Yeah, yeah. That was a shame. That could have been something good, something decent. But unfortunately, as with a lot of things in pro wrestling, you know, certain people want to run before they can walk.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is a shame because there was some good names brought over. Doing the arenas was a massive mistake, and they didn't need to do that. They didn't need to do that at all. But unfortunately, one person that was sort of like in charge of that said, no, it's got to be arenas. It has to be arenas. But it wasn't his money, unfortunately. So, you know, but hey ho, another short-lived thing, which unfortunately could have been decent thing. A lot of people that did those shows went on to do good things. You know, we had the World of Sport, and then obviously NXT UK has come along. So, you know, a lot of people that were doing those shows did go on to do WOS wrestling and on to NXT UK.
So how did you get World of Sports Wrestling? How did you get that started back up again?
Well, I didn't. It wasn't me that got it up and running. Basically, I got approached by someone at ITV who'd either seen me or my name had been given or anyway. So got approached, went up to Manchester, had an interview, and was asked, yeah, would I be interested in doing the pilot? Because obviously did the pilot show first.
Yeah.
Which was that was New Year's Day, wasn't it? That was so obviously that was taped in the November. So from November to coming up to January, you know, a lot of the guys were doing TV appearances at like GMB and, you know, Good Morning Britain and things like that, you know. So there was a lot of, you know, we were all chomping at the bit. We'd done the pilot, we'd done the taping, etc. And then it was like, so we're all sort of like chomping at the bit. Do you know what I mean? Oh my goodness,
yeah.
prime time ITV television. Do you know what I mean? This is it. Do you know what I mean? This could be it. Do you know what I mean? So everyone was there when we were allowed to put things out and start advertising, you know, starting putting the things out to social media and everything. So everyone was there. They were pushing it, you know. And like it was like, oh well, if this goes well, do you know what I mean? They'll do a series, you know, if that goes well, you know. And again, it's the build up, and it's like, oh, you know, this could be it, this could be it, this could be it.
Yeah.
You know, so we did the pilot. The pilot aired. I'd got, obviously they brought over Jim Ross. They bring over Harry, you know, David Boy Smith Jr. Did the pilot, did that, you know, and it was a very 50-50 split because wrestling fans, you know, well this is, you know, oh well this isn't, oh this isn't wrestling, do you know what I mean? And they'd shit on it. And it's like, you've got to understand, ITV were making a program to put out, you know.
Yeah.
They wanted to grab the kid audience. Do you know what I mean? The families, they wanted to grab that audience.
Yeah.
When you look at things like Ninja Warrior and all them kind of programs, that's aimed at a family audience. So what they had, you know, what they made was a family orientated show, you know. So of course wrestling fans would look at it and go, oh, you can't do this. And there were so many things. You couldn't do headshots, you couldn't do punching, you couldn't do kicking, you know, all things that couldn't be shown at, you know, on a primetime TV. And of course they never filmed wrestling before. This ITV, you know, there's so many different companies within ITV. ITV is sort of like an umbrella, and there's like 100 different companies underneath. So yeah, it might be an ITV production, but again, you watch different programs, and it's a different company that's made it. They've just happened to made it, you know, in Manchester at Salford. So. So yeah, it all gets very confusing and like, oh well, I work for ITV. Well, it is ITV, but it's this and this and this and this. So yeah. So anyway, did the pilot, that went through. Then it was waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and then we all went up to Preston to do a press conference, and Jeff Jarrett had come over. Jeremy Borash had come over. Then they'd announced we were going to do 2 nights in Preston. Then that got canned. Right, okay. So I can't remember for why. Well, anyway, that didn't happen, and then it happened to go. So right, okay. Got invited to go up to Manchester to go for a talk. Right, okay, doing a 10-part series. Go for all of that contract negotiation, etc., etc. So and then we did the world of the WOS wrestling. Did those 10 weeks on TV. Did a few weeks, three weekends touring, which was great.
Yeah.
Like anybody that sort of looked at the TV show and again, proper wrestling fans like, oh, you know what, we sold out those shows to families over the 3 weekends in January after that. It was amazing. It's like, why are we not still?
Yeah.
Obviously COVID's got a lot, so I'm told that COVID's got a lot to do with any plans that might have been there. But again, you've now got NXT UK running, which if you look at the roster is a lot of the guys that did the WOS.
Yeah, they've all sort of moved on a bit now, haven't they?
Yeah, and good luck, good luck to them. I mean, they've probably be the one set of wrestlers that have worked, a little bit through the pandemic. So, we've all got to work. We've got to earn money, but they've been lucky enough to work. I know not in front of a crowd, but they've still managed to make TV.
So how was it wrestling in front of a live studio audience? Obviously, for a primetime TV show, did you have to adapt your refereeing styles at all, or was it just you kept your cues and?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was all done, so you had a production desk, so I'll have 3 or 4 people talking, like countdowns, because obviously it's done to TV times, so everything's got done, precisely. But yeah, it's good learning experience. Do you know what I mean? Anybody that thinks they can just sort of like walk into refereeing and think, oh, you just count to 3 or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, especially when you're doing TV, you got 3 or 4 people and you're, oh, this, or move out of the way of the camera, or or you just watch across hard cam, or what? So much, what I mean, 10 minutes, 5 minutes to go, what I mean, 30 seconds, all everything going on. So it's not the easiest, and you've got to relay that to the wrestlers as well.
Yeah,
they haven't got earpieces in, so you're telling them what's happening. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, we're cutting to commercial, or you've got 2 minutes, you better better kick it in. So yeah, it's something that I would have another learning curve. I mean, you always learn. It doesn't matter how long you've been, you always learn. If you're not prepared to take something or to learn something every time you go, if your mindset's not there that you're going to learn something, that you're always learning. Doesn't matter if you've been in the job 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, you're always learning something. There's always something to be taken away from doing something. So
I remember watching you on 5 Star and watching you on World of Sports, because I remember Billy always said, watch how Steve sells the moves, and I took that away from you, because people used to say I need to sell the moves Ben a bit more, and I was always a bit like, I wasn't too sure, but then I'd see your facial expressions and your hand gestures, and obviously that was incredible to see, because it's hard to watch a referee during a match than it is the wrestlers.
You shouldn't. The referee should be invisible. Yeah, you're watching a wrestling match, and like a good referee is not visible unless he needs to be.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There is times where it needs to be, but a good referee you don't see. I think that's the that's probably the best way to describe it is a good referee is a referee that isn't seen. So if you don't notice a referee, if you're noticing a referee in a wrestling match, why? Because your focus should be on the two wrestlers in the ring.
Yeah.
Unless there's something that's, you know, needs to be within that story. Referee shouldn't be seen.
No. I mean,
But
you
yeah,
do
you're
other...
right, but you are right. At the same time, like if someone's taken a massive, you know, a big massive power bomb or something like that, you know, and you see the referee's face, and it's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, someone said that power bomb, it's like, oh my god, do you know what I mean? Like, oh, you know, you're selling, you know, you might be in charge of that match, but you've just seen that, and it's like, oh wow, do you know what I mean? Like, even you're, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I do. I sell what's going on in the ring, even though I shouldn't be seen, but I'm selling. No, because it only takes a few people to sort of like, you just stand there in the corner, and that almost makes you noticeable. Do you know what I mean? So you're watching it, and just out of the corner of your eye, you see some guy still in the corner like this. Oh, okay. Maybe what's going on in the ring isn't as devastating as, you know, because he's just like,
yeah.
It's little things. It's little things. It's little things. Refereeing is not, you know, and the same with ring announcing as well, and MCing. You know, they can make or break a show. I've seen some terrible MCs. Do you know what I mean? And it's just like, oh my goodness, do you know what I mean? They'll start cracking jokes, trying to get themselves over, and this, that, and that. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I have a laugh and a joke. Swear to God, I'm probably one of the goofiest people around. But when it comes to working, I'm always professional, like refereeing, MCing, because it's the whole show. It's the whole show. If the whole show looks good, you know, that's great. It only takes one element of that, you know, whether it be you know, a bad MC or a bad referee, do you know what I mean? And it just instantly can kill a show. Do you know what I mean? A bad referee can kill a great match. Do you know what I mean? A good referee can make a good match great.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what a lot of people, you know, don't realize until something happens. Do you know what I mean? And it could be only one little thing that takes it away, and then all of a sudden, the guys that are in there, you know, telling their story and busting their backsides, can have that match totally taken away from them. One little thing. Yeah,
I mean, there's been times where the guys have said to me, we want the 3 count to be almost a 3, because they say we want to hear the crowd's reaction. So they said almost just swipe the mat. And you do, and you sort of fall on your side, and you hear the crowd just go, oh, and that little elements like that just help build and build and build that story.
Yeah, of course. You know, like, you know, there's not just 2 people or 4 people in a match. Do you know what I mean? It's, you know, if it's singles match, there's 3 people in that match. You know, so anybody that's it's just referee. Like, there's times, I've had messages or phone calls, we really love you to referee, you know, and then it'd be like, you know, you start talking the business side of it, and it's like, I can get 2 wrestlers for that.
Yeah.
go do it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it'll be like, and then you read about it. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, or the referee botched the finish, or, you know, or whatever. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, do you know what? If you know, promoters need to know that the show isn't just about having, you know, bringing in a, you know, they're prepared to pay for an import or for a big name to come on that show and and that. But then the rest of the show, it's like they're scrimping and scraping.
Yeah.
The whole show needs to be professional from, it needs to be professional from the wrestlers on the show to the referee, to the MC, to the people that put the ring up. Do you know what I mean? Oh, how many times have I been to a show, seen a right shoddy ring, that's somebody's mate's ring or whatever. Do you know what I mean? And the ring's broke, collapsed, and which is dangerous as well. It's dangerous. You got to work. You want to be safe. You have health and safety.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be no different in a wrestling show. There should be people, paramedics or medical staff. There should be things there in place in case anything happens. So yeah, your workplace should be a safe place, and wrestling should be no different. A wrestling show should be no different.
Talking of obviously workplaces, you work for Showmasters. You're one of their agents. How do you get involved with Showmasters and Comic Cons? Because that's another area of your career that you're a big part of.
Yeah. So D'Lo Brown was coming over to do one of these Showmasters events, and this would be 8 years ago. This would be 8 years ago in July. So he's on this show in London. He said, I'm coming over to do this Comic-Con event in London. I said, oh, London's great. It's only an hour and 40 minutes. So I'll come up for the day. He's like, all right. So I said, can you sort it out? Excuse me. So he says, yeah, I'll sort it out. The passes on the door or whatever. So I went up there, went and hung out with D'Lo for a few hours, and then it was just basically one of the guys that was working there was like, oh, so could you get in touch with such and such and such and such and such and such? And D'Lo said, yeah, like Steve's got contacts for a lot of the guys, if you want to bring them over, and that's how it started.
Yeah.
Basically, like the next one, it was brought them over 3 wrestlers and then 4 wrestlers, and then obviously a couple of years ago there was a weekend I had 10. So there was like Edge, Ted DiBiase, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, RVD. Yeah, so it's basically they're a lot of fun to do. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And on the weekends, I literally do not stop. I'm just running here, there, and everywhere. But when it gets to the end of the day and everyone's back on the bus or the transport back to the hotel, and you go and sit and you have a meal in the restaurant and just talking. I mean, I love bringing Ted DiBiase over, because which literally I could just sit there and listen to him telling stories, for hours, and it's and we'll be the first ones up in the morning, at the crack of dawn, and we'll meet for breakfast, and we'll sit in there for 2 or 3 hours. I've sat at a breakfast table for 3 hours with Ted DiBiase, just drinking coffee and telling stories and putting the world to rights.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it's great. It really is, but it's a lot of hard work during the build up, and organizing everything and making sure everything's right and making sure their flights are right, and it's a lot of work, but it's fun. It's good fun.
Yeah, the wrestlers always get like a good feedback from the Showmasters of being the nicest guests to meet. Even the guests like Pam Rose, for instance, I talked to her recently, and she said that she met you and you introduced her to the wrestlers, and she couldn't believe how nice the American wrestlers were.
Yeah, Pam, bless her, she's a sweetheart, isn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Pam. Pam's nice. People that don't know who Pam Rose is, she was in Superman, Star Wars, Space 1999. Oh,
yeah.
She's got
300 films or so now she's been in.
Yeah. But she's just such a really lovely, I call her a feisty old bird. Do you know what I mean? And if you look at her back in the day, you know what I mean, what a stunner. What a stunner. I mean, she's still, you know, I mean, she's 70s now, but she's still, you know, but yeah, back in the day, yeah. and she's flirty as well. She's very flirty.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, she's lovely as Pam.
So another thing that I've done with you in the past, I've come to a few of your seminars, like at the Quality Wrestling Academy. Was teaching, refereeing, emceeing, and being a manager, is that always something you always want to do? Was this you fell into it? Was it like the next stages really?
I don't know. I think for me, honestly, as long as I'm doing something, like if I'm involved and I'm part of the show, I think it's Jake Roberts that famously said, you know, don't care what I do, make me the water boy, whatever you want me, just I want to be part of the show. And I think that's true for, you know, for me. This last year and a half has been horrendous. I think what makes it probably easier to swallow is that everybody is in the same boat. So it's not like if you were detached from it, but everyone else was still in it, that would make it a lot harder because you're detached from doing shows, but everybody's in the same boat. So nobody's been running shows, nobody's been working shows, so everyone's sort of been in the same boat, you know. But it's such a different thing when you sort of step away or you detach from it, but you still see everybody else around it. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, I miss that. Do you know what I mean? Oh, I miss the camaraderie. I miss seeing the boys. Yeah, it is a difficult one, but because everyone, like I say, because everyone's been in the same boat, it's sort of an easier pill to swallow.
So with your training seminars, can anyone come down to these, or is it certain levels and that you want people to come down to? Like, how would you prefer your seminars?
You're always learning. You're always learning. So it doesn't matter what level, you know. You can go to something or you can go to a seminar, and it doesn't matter how polished a performer or how good, you know. You should always be able to take away something. You should always be learning. You never stop learning. You should never stop learning in the job. So yeah, it doesn't matter if somebody that's just walked off the street or, you know, somebody that's been around the business for a while, you know, can come along and pick something up and learn something, you know. Yeah, I wouldn't close the door on anybody, to be honest with you. No, not at all. Because I might learn something. I would probably something and learn something from it as well.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, it's just people that look at things in a different way, and they could say something and it'd be like, yeah, you're right. Do you know what I mean? You know, it doesn't matter if it's good or bad. If you learn something, I'm not saying pick up bad habits. I'm saying you can take away, you know, you can take something away. If somebody, you know, you learn from something bad as you learn from something good.
So obviously another thing that I noticed that you did, obviously last year and obviously this year, is you've got your own wrestle merch store set up. Can you tell us about that? Because I see loads of posts and emails with that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Again, because I do have a lot of contacts, I was asked, you know, oh, we're setting up this merchandise site, you know, do you think such and such would be interested? Do you think this guy would be interested? Or do you think, you know, this promotion would be interested? So basically it's just reaching out to different people, you know, and seeing if they'd be interested in having their site. And of course, you know, sort of a byproduct to that was, you know, setting up my, you know, my little store. Do you know what I mean? You know, which, you know, please go on there and buy a t-shirt. You know, it's been a
Yeah.
bad year and a half. Yeah. You know, but I'm under no illusion. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not a famous superstar. You know what I mean? I'm not a Will Ospreay who's going to sell, you know, 1,000 shirts. You know what I mean? I'm not a big American star. You know, I am just, you know, I am a referee or an MC or whatever. You know, I'd like to think I'm good at what I do, but you know, referees aren't, you know, stars. They just shouldn't be stars. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You know, like I would have, you know, if a referee to come along and say, "Oh, I got my own line of merch," you know what I mean? Like, people aren't buying tickets to come to the show to see the referee.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, you know, oh, such and such is a referee on that show. Oh, get me 10 tickets. That's 5 front row seats. Do you know what I mean? Oh, if he's a referee, do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Like, they're important. Everyone's important. Everyone's important to the show, but you know, your main event and your stars are what, you know, the people that are wrestling. They're the ones that should be drawing the people into, you know, to buy tickets to the show and, you know, be able to sell the merchandise. But it was more of a, I think it was more of a sort of like, oh well, you know, sort of thank you, you know, like, have your own sort of store. You know? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, trust me, the money is not flying in at all. Please go to my store and buy a t-shirt.
I'll put a link up in the video for it and we'll put it up. Get you some sales.
Yeah, go on, please. It'd be great. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, don't get me wrong, there has been quite a lot of sales on the site, but that's all the merch that I've bought for myself.
So obviously we're going to be starting to wrap up our talk now with you today, but I like to sort of finish them off with.
How long have we been chatting for?
I think we've been over an hour nearly.
Wow. I hope
we've done all right. Well, what I like to do to finish off, I want to talk about maybe some like reality moments you've had in the ring. Have you ever been in the ring where maybe there's been a serious incident and you've had to stop the match, or you know, it's made you suddenly realize that wrestling is real, it's not fake, and you've got to be professional.
It is real. Fake is a horrible word. Fake is horrible. Do you know what I mean? What these guys do and the moves and the bumps and the holds, you know, there's nothing fake about it. There is nothing fake about, you know, going up, you know, 6-7 feet in the air and crashing down. You know, there's, you know, you're not halfway through a hole. Yeah, it's not a movie. Do you know what I mean? Everything that's done is live. Do you know what I mean? There's no retakes, you know, there's no stuntman waiting to sort of come in and, you know, finish off that thing. Do you know what I mean? But you'd never get anyone going to a movie, sat there and then go, ugh. That's fake.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You know. So why is wrestling any different? So fake is a horrendously horrible word, because what the guys do is not fake. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is it a show? Yes, it is. Do you know what I mean? You know, is it predetermined? Yes. Is it fake? No. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You know, the boys put their bodies on the line, you know, obviously not at the moment, but when they're on the road, night in, night out, you know, injuries are very real, you know. And I was in Finland, Helsinki in Finland, quite a few years ago, and a wrestler called Kiwi Funk. They were doing a tag match. It was the first match of the night, and basically another wrestler called Sonny Siaki went to do a split leg moonsault from the top.
Oh,
rope.
nice.
No, it wasn't, because his knee landed in Funk's face and his face exploded in front of him on the ground. And he rolled out of the ring and was running around. I had to follow him and guide him back to the backstage to make sure medics come to him. I then came back down to the ring, stopped the match.
Yeah.
Told the guy, everyone went back. The other three guys came out sort of later to kind of wrap up a match. But yeah, that was horrible. And he was out in Finland for 6 weeks while they reconstructed his face.
Oh, blimey.
That was horrible. That was horrible. And again, I've been in the ring where a wrestler might have taken a stinger or injured a neck or whatever. So you've always got to be sort of like thinking, if something happens there, which is where the communication thing comes in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, you see big moves, everything. You'll see a referee go over and check, you know, and whether it be this, like, you know, making sure, you know, that everything's okay. Because if it isn't, then you need to either relay that to the other wrestler that something's wrong. Do you know what I mean? So you need to stall. You need, you know, because the wrestler could say, look, I just need a minute, get him to stall. Do you know what I mean? So,
yeah.
All the various things. Do you know what I mean? Like, or if you're earpieced and mic'd up or whatever, then you need to relay that to the back. Something's wrong. You might need medical. All the different things. But yeah, nothing fake. No. Nothing fake.
Obviously, you've got a great story about Kurt Angle where he went down and you had to check on him. And obviously, he didn't realize you were checking on him because he's got no feeling and no nerves in him.
In his fingers. I was like, oh my goodness. Yeah, I think that was him and Alberto El Patron. And they were having a really, really good match, and Kurt had busted his nose. Something had happened, or he'd taken a fall off of the top. There was something, and again, I went down to check on Kurt and squeezing his fingers, and he's not responding to me. I'm like, what? Do you know what I mean? But I could see there was movement there, and he was getting up and he was doing it. And I was like, when we got to the back, I said, man, I was checking on you, make sure. He says, oh, yeah, I got no feelings in my fingers. So, yeah. Stuff like that.
Another point I want to look at is, as well is, have you had any real big highlights in your career, something that really stands out from everything above everything that you want to share with us? Is there a specific moment, how big or small?
There's over 30 years. I've probably forgotten a lot. I tended to do that. The last sort of few years was like, look back and think, oh, I really haven't accomplished anything. I mean, or, you know, you see other people that are maybe in, you know, NXT UK now, you know, like on TV or doing something, and you think, oh, you know, you kind of question yourself. You think, well, why aren't I there? Or why was I never asked? Or why, you know, is it something that, you know, I'm not good enough? So you tend to question yourself. And then it's only when you sort of sit down and you look at things, or you get out an old DVD, or you look at some photos, you know, something might pop up on Facebook, a memory, something like that, and think, oh my goodness, yeah. Oh, I refereed Muta. I refereed the Great Muta at the York Hall, and, you know, against Martin Stone. Or I refereed, you know, Mizawa or Kenta Kobashi, or And it's only when you sort of like, oh, I refereed Eddie Guerrero. Do you know what I mean? And like, you know, refereed Rey Mysterio. Yeah, when you sort of like go for it and you think, you know what, I have done a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that should be what's, you know, that's what's important, you know, because we don't know what the road's going to lead to in the future. You know, the business is going to change so much because of this pandemic, COVID, etc., etc. So it's
yeah.
I
mean, you
go on.
I was going
I was
to
going to say the path that you make, you know, you make your own path, and you carve your own road. You make your own history.
Yeah. Because I mean, I've looked back at some of the names of people you've refereed. I mean, there's like people like Sheamus comes up. He's big now. When he was coming up, obviously Drew as well.
Yeah, Sheamus and Drew. Yeah, referee Drew numerous times, you know, and like and Sheamus as well. Yeah, Sheamus I refereed like, and when he was very green, when he first started in Irish whip wrestling. Yeah, but you tend to forget a lot of what you've done until somebody, like, you know, you might point that out, you know, and like I'll be like, oh my goodness, yeah, oh my goodness, I've refereed, you know, Daniel Bryan so many times when he was in the UK. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh my god, AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, who else we got on that current?
You got John Morrison now as well.
Couldn't tell you the amount of times that I refereed, you know, John, you know, in Middle East or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's only when you sort of look at that and it's like, oh, okay. So yeah, and that's what you can sort of take away from it. Do you know what I mean? Or you take that away and think, oh right, okay. Yeah, I haven't done bad over the years. Do you know what I mean? Like say the Royal Albert Hall. What on it? You know, anyone that can say, oh, I was the first British, someone from British wrestling that was in the Royal Albert Hall at that time since 1991 or 92. Do you know what I mean? So that was quite a thing, you know. And I know NXT UK went in there, but you know, I was there first. So that's like, I was there before you. Not meaning it to be like that, but it's just like, so when you take away little things like that, it's like, oh, wow, yeah, you know,
it's bragging rights, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't like bragging, but it's like, it's something that I can keep with me and say, yeah, you know, I have been there, I have done that. Do you know what I mean? Not to brag, but yeah,
a
little bit maybe. Yeah, I've got my own, you know, merch site. Wrestle Merch Central. Put the link up there. Put the link up.
I will put it. I'll put it across the screen.
So yeah.
It's like
been about 30 odd years.
No, you have done an awful lot. Like there's obviously, when I was researching, there's so much more to bring up, but we've only got obviously a short amount of time today. But we'd definitely do another talk with you again.
Yeah, it'd be great. It also probably give me a chance to sort of look things up, and then it'd be like, oh yeah, right, you know. It's like things that are popping in my head now, like, you know, Coventry Skydome. Do you know what I mean? Like I did a big six-man Noah, you know, with, like I say, Mizawa, Ken Kabashi. Do you know what I mean? Like Kenta, I've refereed Kenta. Do you know what I mean? Like obviously Kenta went into doing it. Yeah, and there's stuff that I've probably missed out on that has probably irked a little bit, but then it's like, do you know what I mean? Everyone needs their chance to shine. So but there's more to come.
I remember seeing you once. You were in a match with John Morrison, and he did some big spinning kick thing, and he went to take you out basically, and obviously you just sold it completely. I mean, I remember seeing that. That was an awesome.
That was at 4FW in Swindon. Yeah. I took the it was the Ross Jordan, Rishi. It was that yeah, it was John Morrison. Oh, and I'm so sorry, I've forgotten the guy's name. It's not that I forget who they are. It just at this, you got to remember, I'm edging ever closer to 50, so the memory sometimes fogs up a little bit. But yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I remember actually looking at pictures of maybe a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, John Morrison. Yeah, the guy ducks out the way. I take the big. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I think I was in the gym quite a bit because I had my referee shirt ripped off, and Ollie, bless him, captured a picture of me doing the count with my ref shirt off, but on my back was really ripped. Maybe go through the Facebook and try and find it, but my back looks so ripped in that, and I was like, oh yeah, nice for Ollie. Even John Morrison was like, man, your back was ripped. Yeah, I mean, look at John Morrison, like,
yeah,
not an inch of fat on that body. Do you know what I mean? A really nice guy, John Morrison. Really, really nice guy.
I even saw when you did your cartwheel in the ring with Kurt Angle and Cody Rhodes.
First and only time I've ever done a cartwheel, and we tried to replicate that in Qatar. A short while after that, again, it was Cody. It was Cody versus Johnny Mundo, John Morrison, and so Cody, because that was never talked about. That was literally done on the fly, and if you watch it, you can see me, and I'm like, oh crap, I've never successfully done a cartwheel in my life. So and you can see the sheer joy in my face when I pull it off. You can also see Kurt saying, fuck it, I'm out of it. If you're getting a bigger pop than me, I'm going. It's just so, because you do get things, you get moments like that. Do you know what I mean? And it's great. Like the crowd was so up for Cody doing a cartwheel, and then they wanted Kurt to do a cartwheel. Do you know what I mean? And then they just wanted it that one step further where Cody points at me, and the crowd, the build up, and again, not blowing smoke up my own ass, but I got the biggest pop from that cartwheel. Cartwheel, the biggest pop.
You respectfully disagree, Dave, but that's why they make horse races and wrestling matches.
Well, we will see as well as this one proceeds. Cody Rhodes having fun, and it's so good to see Cody Rhodes having fun again.
But in the process of trying to get inside Kurt Angle's head, he's tickled Kurt because Cody is expending energy that he might need later on. Now they want Angle to try one. Oh, for heaven's sake. Could we... Well, there you have it. I guess in the spirit of competition, Kurt wants to prove he can, as they used to say, he can out-sing you, out-dance you, out-fight you. I won't finish that.
Well, we're having fun and games here, but I promise you this one is going to get serious.
No,
maybe not yet, though. Because
now they're asking for referee Steve Lynskey. Oh, this ought to be good.
Well, it ought to have been good, but it wasn't. I give that a 5.
But what a match that was.
Yeah, that was phenomenal.
And they wrestled 3 times. I think their final match was in, I think New York. They did a cage match. So they were like, they were 1 for 1 after their WCPW one, and then the big payoff match. I think it was New York. They did a cage match.
Was that where Cody replicated Kurt's moonsault off the top onto Kurt, or was it vice versa?
Yeah. There was a big but I can't remember it. I can't remember which was which, whether it was Kurt on Cody or Cody on Kurt. But Kurt Angle, absolute machine.
Yeah,
absolute machine in that ring. Oh, but such a nice guy out of it. But yeah, a machine. There's a lot of guys that are so dedicated to their art and to their craft, you know, and Kurt is up there. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So there you go, Ben.
Awesome. Well, we'll wrap it up there, shall we? And thank you so much, Steve, for obviously your time today. And it's been a real privilege talking to you. And yeah, we will definitely get you back on again to do some more stories.
Yeah, absolutely. There's got to be a few more you could dig up.
Yeah,
Thanks,
I'm going to have a look on YouTube.
Yeah. Don't forget that merch site. If you do want to buy a t-shirt.
Yeah, I'll get a t-shirt. Don't worry.
You're good lad. Good lad.
Only if you sign it.
Absolutely.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much, Steve. And it's been a privilege talking to you.
Yep, same here. It's been a real pleasure. Thanks a lot.
See you later. Cheers.